stop calling these conspiracies and start calling them hard truths.
I looked away and I looked at him and suddenly it wasn't him anymore.
People going crazy think they found a code word for human meat?
So the elites took Justin Bieber's and Selena Gomez's baby.
Welcome back to Rabbit Hole Reacts. Today we're watching some of the craziest videos from around the internet. Make sure to leave this video a like and a subscribe. And on that note, let's go.
Major trigger warning. If you're not going through the files, I am. And here are some of the most disturbing things I have seen. They trafficked little girls. They got them pregnant. They took their babies. They starved the babies, made them very thirsty, and then they put their in their mouths because they knew the babies would suck harder. They joke about cream cheese. They are referring to breast milk in the intestines tasting good because they ate them. Well, actually, they were probably eating their own as well. All of our children are accessible to all of these predators because their school photos were handed over to, yeah, MAGA, your kids were handed over too. They wrote emails back and forth like, got a good 10-year-old, got a good 8-year-old, virgin, just your style, you want it? But the satisfying part here, the most disturbing part, is that Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, Kash Patel, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Dan Bongino, Steve Miller, Bannon, all these people and the 1,000 FBI agents that redacted the files, they know who all these perpetrators are. They know that people, children were killed, buried, put in the water, put in fields. They know where they are. They know who the perpetrators are, and they redacted their names. And they are sitting around eating their dinner right now, knowing the names of the people who did this. And
what is going on? The truth's being exposed. That's what's going on. The dawning of the age of Aquarius. Corrupt systems will fall. We have to stay strong during these times. We have to know the truth. We need to ask for spiritual protection, discernment, and direction. Because with all of this information coming out, we're not going to be able to know anything.
People going crazy think they found a code word for human meat? Wait.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Hope you are feeling better. Did we analyze the jerky? Why didn't we get jerky this week? I also added more to the jerky and ginger lemongrass. Thank you so much. Super cool. Beef jerky, delicious. Jojo is here and we'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. We'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey.
Why would jerky walk around? Why would it do that?
Delicious lunch, beef jerky. Steve and I are very grateful above all for your friendship. Some of these emails are so wholesome, aren't they? It's too bad they eat kids. A small insulated bag would be fine. I don't recommend checking it. No need for crazy amounts of ice. One should do. There is one bag of beef jerky in the fridge. Please get it. Also, Blank has more at her place. Please get it from her as well. I suppose it needs to be in a cold, insulated bag. Just wanted to touch base about jerky. J.E. said he was going to start eating regular food again, so he might be eating less jerky. He said he has 6 bags of it in a downstairs freezer. Why would you freeze jerky? Steve needs a 6 to 8 ounce portion of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, and it lasted only half the amount of time it was meant to. I felt like it was more important for you to have the jerky to eat during my time off. My plan is to make a batch before I leave for LSJ, and some of that will go to Steve, and the rest will go to you at LSJ when I arrive. Little St. James Island. That's what LSJ must mean. So logically, that means that they were doing this off of the island. Steve Hansen is sending jerky to your attention overnight. I believe it should be enough to get him through. Jeffrey Epstein is asking to bring him more jerky. I'm flying in on Friday. I will bring jerky. Is there a time I could come say hi and drop off the beef jerky?
My mind is just racing right now, flabbergasted. I'm thinking if the beef jerky we eat in the stores is mixed with stuff we already know McDonald's. What are vampires, demons, aliens? What? You must go so extreme into darkness that you. I just, who could? That, I just don't know.
They
are not who you think they are. And they have been
Demons.
here a lot longer than you realize. That's Andrew Jackson for the uninitiated. And that...
Okay, look right here. At Andrew Jackson, there's only one long-ass face like that. And it's the one right next to it. That don't make no mother-in sense.
Is Andrew Jackson's wife. Andrew Jackson's wife and Miss Maxwell. And like I said, they are not who you think they are. But it's not just them. It's all of them. They have been here a lot longer than you realize. That's General Patton. And these are a whole bunch of sports stars. Tom Brady, Larry Hagman, Houdini, Joe Burrow, Mickey Mantle, Christian McCaffrey, Kobe Bryant, Wilt Chamberlain, H.P. Lovecraft, Michael Phelps, Travis Kelce, the guy who created the Pony Express, Michael Jordan, and Jackie Robinson. It's all of them. Teddy Roosevelt, Robin Williams, who is supposedly dead but is now Uncle Pappy, who literally age reduced to become this guy, young Uncle Pappy, Blair. Viggo Mortensen, Kirk Douglas, Richard and Karen Carpenter, who are literally now Dexter, aka Michael C. Hall and Celine Dion. The entire cast of Seinfeld, who all used to be other known actors, stars. If you can't see that Kramer used to literally be Dean Martin, well then you should probably get your eyes checked. Do you really think Taylor Swift just resembles the Church of Satan's Zena LaVey that much? No, that's her. Do you really think Hugh Jackman just resembles country singer who died at age 33, Keith Whitley, that much? No. They're the same entity. They're not human. They're fallen angels who have been here all along. That's Rudolph Steiner, who became Keith Whitley, who became Hugh Jackman. That's Dale Earnhardt, who supposedly hit a wall, and that's Morgan Wallen. I don't just speculate on this. I don't just mash faces together and say they're the same. I provide evidence. Evidence like Morgan Wallen having a gaping scar under his right eye. Kind of like, exactly like, Dale Earnhardt, who hit a wall. Morgan Wallen, they're mocking you, and I'm trying to help you.
That's what's got me messed up, is the mocking aspect of it. Like, do your darkness in silence and keep it at that. But to be dangling it in people's face, knowing you got them blinded, now that they want a revolution, they want to fight, and they're going to be in for the fight of their lives with this society that we're living in now. Gen Z, Gen X, all these new gens don't play like that. Now, we may be a little docile and desensitized at the moment, but when push comes to shove, guess we'll wait and see, won't we?
As many of you know, certain e-files have come out that have revealed some pretty disturbing things about certain elites, and some of it is so bad that I think it's obvious that there's some demonic element to it. I'd go so far to say that some of these people may not actually be fully human. They may be hybrids or shape-shifting beings. You think? And in support of this, consider this testimony from Juliet Bryant, who is a verified survivor of Epstein, where she talks about him turning into some kind of lizard or serpent.
I've seen anyone else turn into anything like that. And it happened. It was like a weird hologram, and it had like big black eyes. You know, and I also saw Epstein shapeshift on the island. You know, when I was on the island, I saw Epstein like suddenly, and people have actually asked some pretty good questions recently. It wasn't like I saw him turning like the Incredible Hulk. What happened is, it was when I was taken in the bedroom the one time, and he had like a blanket up to here, and then I looked away and I looked at him, and suddenly it wasn't him anymore. It wasn't like turning.
No.
It was like it was him, and I looked away, and then when I looked back, it wasn't him. There was this weird creature, and then I looked away, and then I looked back, and it was him again.
Yeah, see, and All of us were looking at these victims like they were crazy. But look at what they're doing. Eating jerky and cream cheese. That's not human.
The answer, yes or no, to whether or not you met with these women who were sexually abused and raped. Yesterday,
Cash Patel.
you testified to Senator Kennedy that there was, quote, no credible information that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone else, and that you have, quote, continuously and publicly asked the public to come forward with more information and we'll look into it. Today, in response to Mr. Massey's question, you appear to say that the survivors were not credible. These are survivors.
That's not at all what I said.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask you this in a second, but let me tell you about the survivors, and let's bring them up here into the room. These are women who came to the Hill and testified that they were groomed and raped at the age of 14 and 16 years old, and they called to meet with the president and to meet with the FBI and to have people investigate their claims. Some of them have never testified before. If you are so interested in getting the public to submit any information, why have you not met with them? You said you haven't met with them. Have you met with them? I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to invite
Is the answer yes or no to whether or not you met with these women who were sexually abused and raped?
Any insinuation by you or any people on your side that I am not manhunting child predators and...
Answer the damn question!
Are we all seeing what's being revealed? Are we all paying attention to the things that are coming out from these files? Because I'm worried that I'm going to have to try and explain to somebody what I'm hearing and seeing, and I'm going to sound like I'm experiencing psychosis because I feel like I'm experiencing psychosis. I can't even sleep. I'm so fucking angry. I'm petrified. This is some of the most vile, most demonic shit I have ever even fathomed. Like, it is unfathomable, and I feel like people are not paying attention. I feel like we are underreacting. I feel like I'm very worried that when we are exposed to such distressing information, like, we are being overloaded with the most appalling news ever, that we numb ourselves and we block it out because it's too much, which is like a totally valid human experience and thing to do. But like, we cannot do that. We cannot do that because, like, are these fucking fucked up freaks like sitting there laughing, being like,
she said it.
Well, everything's out and nothing's gonna happen, and like, look, we got away with it. And like, we got away with the most horrifying stuff that it's not even humanly possible to believe that this is happening. Like, I literally cannot wrap my mind around the fact that these things happened. It is unconscionable. And like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Genuinely, what the fuck are we supposed to do?
They've shown it everywhere. If you've watched the show Charmed, there's certain shows that have resonated with me. I've told you about the superheroes. It's good against evil, us against them, and we need to start taking charge.
Everything that's going on right now is not to distract you from the Epstein files. All of the shit going on with ICE, all of the AI videos, all the chaos, all the bullshit, it's not to distract you from the files. If they didn't want us to be aware of what's in these files, they wouldn't intentionally make us aware of what's happening in the files. They're attempting to normalize the things that they do. They don't care if we know that they're all child rapists and murderers and fucking cannibals. And first of all, the PDF stuff is literally G-rated compared to what they actually do. That's just scratching the surface. And we don't even require what they're making us aware of to know this. We've known this for a long time. Everything they do is completely intentional, including releasing these documents to us. You notice how there's enough information in these documents to put thousands of people away, including the president? But will any of these people be forced to take accountability? The answer is no, they will not. It doesn't even matter. Them releasing all of this information to us is still a part of their agenda. They're all criminals, including the ones who are releasing these documents. It's like the people who hold people accountable for this type of stuff, they themselves also need to be held accountable. accountable. You can't ask the system to take these people down because the system is the problem. They all work together to manipulate and control us. If these people were to be taken down, it would be completely on all of us, the people, to do it. It's like when you're out here bitching about accountability, you're literally asking some rapist cannibals to hold some other rapist cannibals accountable for their actions. The same group that controls the media is the same group that controls the Epstein files. It's the same group that controls the courts. It's the same group that controls the corporations and the money. It's the same group that controls the way you think and view the world. We're reaching a point where they don't care if we know what they're doing. And it's like they're rubbing it in our face that they're gonna do this stuff and there's nothing we can do about it.
Everything they do is completely intentional, including these documents. Ask yourself why they released them. They're trying to normalize this, just like with OnlyFans, normalizing sex culture. They are trying to desensitize us from our morals and values. I feel, because what else? What is going on?
So the elites took Justin Bieber's and Selena Gomez's baby and gave him to the Kardashians in order to keep him in line.
I heard this.
Take with that what you will. With all the stuff coming out about the Epstein files and the monstrosities that everybody there was involved in, an article has resurfaced by Justin Bieber from 2018 where he talks about the depravity that the elites partake in. Basically, Justin was invited to a special party.
Oh no. They just putting it in our faces now. Dang. See, but people don't want to believe this. And others will say that they're just random events that people are connecting. But no, some people have really good pattern recognition. And they're picking up on the subtleties that have been going on for a long time. I already know this video is going to have some crazy ones in it.
Well, it seems like today someone has finally made their way down the shafts that were found under the pyramids in Egypt. Clutch your pearls, girls, because now you're telling me that as of today, Dr. and archaeologist Rami, I'm not even going to try to say his last name because I don't want to be disrespectful to the Egyptian culture, is the first human being to make his way to the bottom of the shafts underneath the pyramid and has reported back what he found in the chamber at the bottom. And it is mind-blowing. Now, like always, take what you will, leave what you won't. I have purposely not talked about this topic yet because I like to have my facts backed. But as of today, allegedly, archaeologist Rami, I'm not going to try the name again, has made his way to the bottom, and what he found there was perfect blue, like water chambers, I guess is what I'm referring to them as, with the most beautiful blue color water that he's ever seen in his life, with preserved humanoid body-like creatures in the water, with, as he describes, the most crystal clear blue color in their eyes that he has ever seen. Now, once again, anything we talk about is for conversation, learning, entertainment purposes only, but have you heard this? Because I've now read 10 different reports and seen multiple videos all over social media, all over the different forums, and they're...
What are these creatures? Are we able to wake them up? Should we wake them up? And I guess, what is this? What are we doing? What's going on? What's going on anymore? What's going on?
What I'm about to share with you are the darkest secrets of Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico compound that the federal government desperately tried to bury. And when I say dark, I mean absolutely horrifying.
What else?
We're talking about a 10,000-acre ranch where things happened that were worse than the island, worse than Palm Beach, worse than the Manhattan townhouse. And the most shocking part? Federal prosecutors under the Trump regime explicitly told local law enforcement to stay away from this property. They said, "We've got this. We'll handle the investigation." And then they did absolutely nothing. No search warrants, no subpoenas, nothing. And now we have the emails that prove it. So buckle up, because this is going to blow your mind. Let me start with the basics so you understand the full scope of what we're dealing with here. Jeffrey Epstein owned a massive ranch in Stanley, New Mexico, in Santa Fe County. This property was somewhere between 7,500 and 10,000 acres. To put that in perspective, that's bigger than some entire towns. And Epstein didn't just own this ranch under his own name. He owned it through a trust called the Zorro Trust, spelled Z-O-R-R-O. He acquired this property way back in 1993. Think about that, 1993. That's 26 years before he died in 2019. This wasn't some recent purchase. This was a long-term operation. And here's what makes this location so strategically valuable for someone running a trafficking operation. It's close to the Mexican border. New Mexico shares a border with Mexico. And according to multiple sources, including tips sent to the FBI, this ranch was used as a routing location for trafficked children coming up from Mexico before they were dispersed to the East Coast.
Wow.
Let that sink in for a moment. This wasn't just a place where abuse happened. This was allegedly a hub, a distribution center for a trafficking network. Now, when Epstein was arrested for the second time in July 2019, there were immediate questions about this ranch.
Every time a piece of information comes out, it just awakens the soul to the delusion that we were in.
Everybody is feeling it. Something is definitely changing right under our feet. Even people that don't care or aren't very in tune are feeling something. Even astrologically, things are about to change in a major way. They're saying that this alignment on February 20th is the first in thousands of years and marks a change in humanity. My dad's been studied by the Vatican and by the government for his experiences with who we call the Lady. She was essentially the divine feminine, and she said that she was going to bring the world into a new knowledge, but that's only...
Okay, this is Emily Bledsoe. Her dad, Chris Bledsoe, was deep into the church in their small town, and then he started getting messages, awakening, started seeing orbs, and he's able to call them in on command. He does sightings all the time with thousands of people, has been studied by the Vatican and the government. This is his daughter sharing what she knows, and I really like her, so let's listen.
Only if humanity uses their free will to choose that outcome. If we choose to be saved and enter a time of peace and love and compassion and balance between the masculine and the feminine. She said when the gaze of the Sphinx aligns at dawn with the star of Regulus, we will enter a new knowledge. We don't know exactly what that means. We don't know exactly when this alignment is. We have guesses, we have ideas. And Dad has said it might be around Easter because that's what our NASA scientist friend predicted in 2012, but we don't know for sure. It might be in the fall, it might be some other day. We don't know exactly when, but
I hope it happens soon. I hope that everyone's been noticing, obviously, with all the information coming out, there's a natural consciousness awakening shift. I've been feeling some dynamic changes, synchronicities that are popping up. I know time alignments for all of us have been crazy. 11:11, 3:33, 2:22. I mean, it's just nonstop. And I hope we get some superpowers. My birthday's February 20th, and I've been feeling like this was going to be a year to remember, to say the least.
Now, in case you did not pay attention to what was termed Pizzagate, back in 2016. The short of it is that the DNC email server got hacked, and off of those emails, they were published publicly by Julian Assange WikiLeaks, and there was a strange amount of references to pizza parties, grown adult men, government employees, men, referring to pizza in ways and within a context that made it seem as though they obviously were not referring to literal pizza, having had parties on ranches and referring to pizza. I'm going to give you an example here. This email went to John Podesta. It was sent to him from someone named Catherine Tate. These are very old, obviously, or else we would have hidden her email. She writes, "Hi, John. The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or you don't want it." Also, weird specific orders of pizza and hot dogs. That was the beginning of that entire scandal that they tried to downplay and pretend that it was crazy.
Yeah,
well,
remember?
The FBI has already formally acknowledged that pizza is used as a code word amongst. So that's not an illusion. That's real. No conspiracy needed. Epstein emails, people are diving back in there. What are we to make of these 900 plus emails referring to pizza in real ways? You guys can look through these yourself. Okay. Of course, there are the Jeffrey Epstein emails, some emails which we're never going to see, and photos that we're never going to see regarding people, calls to people. I'm sure they're going to explain this away. Everybody's joking all the time. Todd Blanche has already come out and said that they're sparing us the videos. So we should just assume that there are graphic videos that pertain to,
of course,
based on his statement. And I'm going to pivot here to just one example of a very strange email, which was covered by James Lee. Take a listen.
Why is this name redacted? You would think the DOJ would want to investigate someone who sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, quote, "I give you permission to him." Well, thankfully for all of us, the DOJ sucks at their job, and there's actually another version of that email that is less redacted, or more accurately, poorly redacted. Check this out. "I give you permission to him. He is apparently with Olga. He lied to you. He lied to me." And you can kind of make out the name here to be one Susan Hamblin. Here's an enhanced image. You could read right there, Susan Hamblin. So who is Susan Hamblin? Well, she is evidently a financial advisor and founder of the adoption agency Kids to Families. Looks like the agency no longer exists, but I was able to find this archive in the Wayback Machine. At this point, we still don't know who Olga is, but according to reporting, it says that the only time the name has come up in the Epstein case is when his former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, recounted getting a massage from a woman of the same name at Epstein's place. Now,
at this point, lock them all up. They need to stop calling these conspiracies and start calling them hard truths.
Ghislaine develops this fascination with Atlantis when she was fleeing the authorities after Epstein's murder. She gets this property in an isolated area of New Hampshire under a false name, Janet Marshall. Janet Atlantis Marshall was a feminist author. If she's using the name basically Janet Atlantis to get this property in New Hampshire, and she named Epstein's submarine the Atlantis submarine. The reason that there's an Atlantean temple on Little St. James, it's a temple dedicated to Poseidon. Poseidon was the founding god of Atlantis. And the most interesting thing that they did is they went to Fidel Castro and asked him for permission to dive on a site off the western end of Cuba, where Paulina Zalitsky had discovered an Atlantean city. There are sonar scans of this thing. The story disappeared. The last time that piece of Earth was above water was 50,000 years ago. Ghislaine Maxwell wanted to dive on this, see? She went to Castro with Epstein and asked permission to dive on this site. Ghislaine develops this fascination with Atlantis when she was
Why were they searching for Atlantis? We've already made the connection that Ghislaine's father created books for schools in the United States, trying to spin history while what? They're trying to follow the ancient tales? What does that mean? That there's truths in the old tales that we've heard of? Let's see.
When Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massey and me going to the Justice Department to get these 6 men's identities to become public? And if we found 6 men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files.
Why are they covering up anybody? Oh yeah, it's pretty obvious and in your face because they're on their side. This is the way the world works. This is not fantastical. This is what's happening.
I'm gonna start all of this by saying allegedly. I'm also gonna say I'm nauseous and like truly shaken. Not only last night did I read in the files about someone who dressed up as Jesus Christ to rape and terrorize one of the victims because the victim said that she could feel God's presence when she was in bed and she felt that he was trying to keep her safe.
Oh my.
So I read that last night. What I found tonight though is and the reason I didn't start the video with this part is because it will immediately get flagged and taken down. But I 100% know for a fact I just solved the cold case of John Benet Ramsey by combing through the files with a fine-tooth comb, doing a hell of a lot of research, piecing things together. Not only is it a child sex trafficking ring, there's also a whole sacrifice and ritual aspect to it.
Yep.
John Benet's parents were heavily associated with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Most normal people don't know anything about these underground sacrifices and rituals because you shouldn't know. It's horrible information to know. I wish I didn't know. But I've always been a curious girly. I've always been a true crime fanatic, and I've always done a lot of research.
All of us. That's why we're here watching it. I mean, we are no longer the outcast. The conspiracy theorists are now the realist.
So unfortunately, I know these things. And part of the whole spiel with these ritualistic sacrificers is they'll figure out a way to use the name of the child they sacrificed as a nickname for themselves, a badge of honor, if you will. So when I tell you my stomach freaking dropped, it's not a cold case. She was sacrificed.
What?
She was freaking sacrificed. And her name is in the files as a badge of honor by the man who performed the sacrifice. And again, most normal people don't know this, but these ritualistic sacrifices take place at a very specific time of the year every year. They're expected to happen around December 24th to December 26th.
Of course.
Right around when John Benet went missing. There's also a lot of really weird connections near where her parents lived at that time. So on and so forth. I might end up...
Unfortunately, these stories are so true. If you've not heard of SRA, then look up what that acronym means and go down that rabbit hole. There's a podcaster named Annette Lucas, something like that, and she's a female that was raised around and in and extorted through these types of societies, and she was able to break free, and now she interviews other individuals who went through a similar experience. So sad, but we have to awaken to the knowledge of the reality of what's going on if we want to shine some light on the dark and make a change. I'm sickened by, we all are.
He's emailing Jeffrey Epstein and saying, I've been all around the world like we've been talking about, and I've been meeting more and more of these people. They have special abilities, especially if they had trauma or sexual abuse early in their life. which by the way is so dark.
So dark.
What Jeffrey Epstein did. He says that these individuals are misunderstood by society, but they possess hidden gifts. And he discusses these people as being subjects for research, that they need to be identified, sorted, or rehabilitated, that there's potential proof that new models of consciousness or human capability is real. And he specifically talks about people being either stage 2 or stage 3. And you read this email and you're like, oh my God, so Jeffrey Epstein and this Gino guy are talking about individuals who had trauma early on in life, and now it means that they have special abilities. To me, it almost makes me think of like the character 11 from Stranger Things.
Yep.
Like, you have a horrible childhood, but then you're able to do telekinesis.
This is so crazy, especially look at the wall. As a Marvel superhero fanatic, my mind has been going crazy lately. If you have watched Young Justice DC on HBO Max, you are going to connect all this. It talks about aliens. It talks about babies, children, teens, tweens being held underground and being genetically modified and having special abilities and using trauma as a way to showcase the extent of your power. What is going on? They've been showing us our whole lives. But what does that mean also? That we are more powerful than we know. We've been letting the expansion and discovery of consciousness be in the hands of the top elite. Not we've been letting, but it's been in the hands, and we need to take it back. Do the inner work. Thank you guys so much for watching those videos with me today. That was crazy. But if you could, please subscribe to the channel. We're newer, we're trying to grow and spread the word. As always, stay mindful, stay woke, do that inner work, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.